Hi there, Stampers. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations here with today's live. And I'm saying live because I'm not technically live. It's just going off at my live time. I'm just ending my vacation. We just got back from a Hawaiian vacation. A friend of mine and I, we left our husband's home and we went off on a girls' trip and did Vancouver and then Hawaii. So hopefully we had lots of fun because I'm filming this before I leave. And I wanted to make sure that even though I was gone, you guys didn't miss out on your twice a week inspiration as we make fun fold cards the easy way. So this is the card we're making today. So this is very similar to the one we did on Monday. On Monday, we did this one where we had the pillars on the front holding up the window. This time we have them along the bottom and they're holding up our waves. So it's this kind of a 3D card. And then this one actually opens and has an inside. So let's get started and make today's card. Okay, so here we are down on the desk. What we're going to need to get started, obviously, is a standard card base. So this one is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. We have a layer for the inside and a layer for the outside. Both of these are 4 by 5 1/4. Then for the pillars across the bottom, I have these. And they are, let's see, about 2 7/8 by 5.5. Now, I knew I didn't want the pillars to be too deep, so they're only 1/2 inch here, but I thought maybe they could use a little more height, especially since I wanted to put the ribbon on there. So this was 3/4 inch. So when I put them into my scoring tool, I put them in and scored the first one at 1/2 inch. And then I went over 3/4, so that would have been 1 1/4. And then 1/2 inch from that was 1 3/4. And then I have 3/4 inch makes it 2 1/2. And then this is my little piece for the strip. So it's basically 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1/2 inch, 3/4. Okay, you got it? So these are 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. And they're both the same. So I have 2 of those. Then I have some scrap pieces to die cut our clouds and our little saying at the front. And then I have a piece I'm going to be stamping the whale on, and I'm going to fussy cut him out. And then I have the pieces that I'm going to be using for the waves. So I have 2 vellum and 2 balmy blue, and they were all approximately 3 inches by 5 1/2. And they're going to get die cut. So if you watched on Monday, you know that these pillars are going to go together in a way that I try to make them lay flat when I adhere them, because I want them to go flat for mailing. So see how these fold up flat? And it'll allow me to stick it in an envelope. It's still going to be a little bit thick, but better than it would be. And so there's a 3/8 inch piece that's going to have my tear and tape on it. And then it's going to attach to this 1/2 inch. So tear and tape, I just saw it. Here we go. Here's our tear and tape. And I'm going to put that on that 3/8 inch strip on the side for both of them. And then I'm going to fold it over and reveal the sticky, and then fold this closed. So now it's completely flat. But when it pops open, it'll pop open and be the panel that we need it to be, the pillar. So same thing over here. It's going to fold both directions now, and it's going to go totally flat. So we have 2 of those. And they will go on the front of our card, but I want those waves to go in the middle, so we'll need to die cut those. Just laying flat. So these are only 3 inches wide, so I can use my mini. So I'll bring in my mini cut and emboss machine. And we're going to need plate number 1, plate number 2, and then another number 2. If you're using the 6-inch or larger machine, you can do 2 of them at once, side by side. Here is our first wave. Probably should have done some of these off camera, huh? That would have been smart. I'm filming this on the day before I leave, so my brain is not firing on all cylinders. Is anybody familiar with that? When you're getting ready to leave on vacation, you have so many things in your mind that you're not real clear. I'm just using the take your pick tool, and I'm poking it in these little holes. These are what Stampin' Up! Refers to as their ejection holes. So they are designed to feel the take your pick tool go through there and poke them out. Okay, let's see. That was square. This was square. So let's do 2 round ones because the waves are slightly different. So we're just mixing it up a little, doing 1 of each in the rounded and 1 of each in the squared. And then while I have this out, we'll die cut our label and clouds. All right, so we have some scraps to pull out of the way, little pieces to throw in the trash, and our waves. Let's do a little cleanup here. Okay. Oh, our little pieces. So I have the clouds, and these are from the Waves dies. And so is this label. That's why it perfectly fits the sentiment we're going to put into it, because it comes from the coordinating stamp set. And I like these labels because they have the little openings at the end. It makes it very easy to thread a ribbon through them. And it does the stitching along the outside. Now within the die set, there is also these odd looking things. And a lot of people ask me, what are those? Well, you would die cut them in, say, a gray, and then they would layer over the top of your cloud and just gives them a little bit of accent to the clouds. One of my other cards shows an example, and if you buy my tutorial, there will be an example in there as well. So there's one for the large cloud and there's one for the small cloud with these little accents, and then these are for the birds if you wanted to die cut those instead of stamp them. Okay. So just for goodness sake, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and assemble these a little. Sorry, I have just a little hanging over the edge, which probably wouldn't matter if I just butted those together. Okay, so one set of waves is going to go in between the two. And so I'm putting a lot of adhesive on there because not only do I want it to hold the wave in place, I also want it to hold one of these to the other. So which do I want in front? I suppose it doesn't matter if I have the vellum or the blue in the front, but I know I want to mix up and have one squared and one rounded for each section. So I'm using the squared up vellum and the rounded balmy blue. So there's one. And then I can adhere that to this one by just butting them up together. And like I said, I want them to be flush, but then I also want them to fold flat. Looks like I'm going to need some more adhesive. The waves took more of that adhesive than I thought they would. Okay. So there should be no problem with these two sticking together now. So like I said, I'm kind of butting up the bottom and the edges. There we go. Okay, so see they're kind of flush here at the top and then they're butted up on the sides. And then I think I'm going to put a little dab of glue. So I'm going to bring out that one I used on Monday that has this really fine tip to it, because I don't want very much on here. I just want a little bit to hold that together. Together, not to my finger. Come on. There we go. Okay, and then we have our second set here. The vellum's so clear, I didn't see this one didn't pop out. And then these will adhere to the front. And I'm not putting as much adhesive here because it's not going to be, you know, completely covered up. But it's still going to be enough adhesive. It is going to hang on to my waves. Okay, so see, 3D waves. We're getting excited yet? Okay, let's do some stamping. The front part, I'm going to show you two different ways that I love to do this giant wave that comes with the stamp set. It's a very cool stamp. It is large and very detailed. And you can do many things with it. My two favorite things to do are to emboss it in white and then do a emboss resist, and which I'm going to do on the front here. And then there's also where I ink it up and then I dab onto it with these sponge daubers to give it a multicolor look. So we will be doing both on the card today. So for the first one, as I said, we're going to heat emboss. So I'm going to ink up in Versamark ink. And this is a large stamp, so I usually tend to have it face up and then bring my pad to the stamp instead of the other way around. And then I will often do the same thing with the paper, that I'll place the paper on top instead of the stamp on the paper. So it's just in reverse. Oh, I didn't use the embossing buddy. Shame on me. Luckily, we're doing white on white, so hopefully it's not going to be a big deal. If you were doing white on black or Night of Navy, it would be a very big deal. Because the embossing buddy gets rid of any static or any oils from your hands that may be on the paper. And this embossing toolkit comes with everything you need. It has the little tray that we can use to catch all the excess, as well as the embossing buddy, a little brush, and tweezers. And the tweezers are these reverse tweezers with a, I don't know what kind of plastic this is, but it doesn't melt, so that you can use it to hold on to your project and not burn your fingers when you run the heat tool. Okay, so we know it's all done when it goes from kind of a matte finish to a shiny finish. And then we usually give it a little bit of time to dry, although it does dry rather quickly. And then I'm going to use my blending brush and some blue ink. There we go. And I'm going to go with Balmy Blue once again. Bring in some scrap paper. Now I got a little bit of embossing powder onto there. I didn't mean to, but a great thing to remove that is a lint roller. You know, the kind that you pull off and it reveals kind of a sticky, like masking tape kind of thing. That would work great for removing that powder off of the ink pad. It also works for the gold leafing or, you know, glitter, anything that gets on there that you don't want to. You know, powder-wise. Or if somebody is using baby wipes to clean their stamps, baby wipes tend to leave behind a little bit of lint. And so you might need to remove lint off your ink pads as well because they will interfere with your stamping. So baby wipes are great for cleaning your hands while you're stamping, but they're not great for cleaning the stamps themselves because you don't want the lint that gets left behind. Okay, now if I wanted to, I could use other blues onto this and give it a little more depth. For the sake of filming today, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and continue on with our card. Going to do a few little birds in smoky slate. Or no, this is basic gray, sorry. And then I'm going to switch around the clouds because I have a little boo-boo right here. So I think I'm going to put one of my clouds right over the top of that. What do you think? Somewhere here I have my clouds. Oh, come on. They're here. I know they are. There they are. Okay. So now I can choose to run this all the way to the edge and actually have it run off, and that would be okay. We don't have to make sure that they're all on the card. It is okay to let them run off the edge if that's where your boo-boo happens to be. Go ahead and let it run all the way off the edge and then just cut off the excess. I'm just going to give this a little bit of glue. Okay, then I'm ready to adhere this to my card front. Isn't that pretty? The emboss resist just gives it a really pretty look. Okay, and then our waves will go over the front of that. No, I just had to take your pick tool. Oh, there it is. See, you guys could probably see it, right? I lost it, and it was right under my nose. Okay, so this I'm going to just line up on the bottom of my card. Okay. And then we're ready to stamp our sentiment and our little whale. So for the whale, I'm going to do like I did on Monday, and I'm going to stamp him in the Stamparatus because that gives me the darkest impression because I can ink it multiple times. Hopefully you have one of these. But once it's in there and steady, and this is some Sizzix sticky paper so that I don't have to always use the magnets. That is in my referral section on my website. If you go to the shop part on my menu and recommended tools, this sticky paper is in there. I highly recommend it. There we go. That's good. And I'm going to fussy cut him flat along the bottom because I want him to tuck right in here. But then I'm going to fussy cut around him and the waves. You'll notice when I fussy cut, I try to stay as close to the line as I can. And rather than turning the scissors, I turn the paper. That allows me to get the closest snip, but it also makes it easier on my hand because I'm keeping my hand comfortable and then just cutting down very gently as I go around the image. And I cut off excess and just drop it when I can so that there's not as much bulk in my way. Okay, so there is our whale, and he's going to tuck right in there. And you'll notice there was just enough room for him to go in there. And I can, move him over and stick him in where he needs to go. I think I'm going to put a little bit of blue along the bottom where his waves are. So I'm using Balmy Blue since that's the color that the cardstock is. This should be the closest match. And then I'm just going to put a teensy bit of glue, as I said, where he's going to tuck in along the bottom. Isn't this coming along nicely? Okay, for the front, as I said, I have my sentiment to stamp. So I'm going to bring back that Balmy Blue ink. And in the stamp set is that sentiment that's coming out of the waves of inspiration. Oh, there go the dogs barking. I'm sorry about that. Hope you don't hear them. So there's that part. And then we're going to need to stamp on the inside as well. I'm going to go up here with this You're Totally Awesome. So that's this other stamp. And then I'm going to bring back our wave. And as I said, I'm going to show you a different way to do the inside. The inside I'm inking up completely with Balmy Blue. Then I'm going to come in with a couple other colors. I've got some Lost Lagoon and some Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to grab my sponge daubers. I keep them in this little box I got off Amazon. Again, that's going to be on my list. And then this little insert here, I redid. So this is all new with the current color update that we had this year. And this can be a free download in my store. I'm going to be selling the ones with the laminating on them. They're just not quite up there yet. I'm just going to charge a couple dollars to cover the cost of my ink and the laminator and the postage. But if you need it laminated and printed in color, I can do that. Or you can download it for free and do that yourself. But that's going to be in my tutorial store under card making aids. So I'm just dabbing into some other colors and then dabbing onto this piece randomly. So a little Coastal Cabana and a little bit of Lost Lagoon. And I'm just trying to be random. As I said, I'm not very good with random, but I'm trying. And then you'll see here, I'm going to turn it over and show you. We can stamp this way as well, or you could bring the paper to the stamp as I did with the outside. Okay, now it didn't quite reach the edge, and so that's completely fine. I'm okay with that. That's why this one's got a little bit wider border. Because what I did was I stamped it and then I just came in with my trimmer and then trimmed off that little bit of excess. Because these layers, I mean, we cut them to a certain size, but there's nothing saying it has to be any certain size. Whatever's going to fit, right? I've just basically taken the same amount off the sides as I did off the bottom. And then that can go inside of our card. Better get this out of the way. Okay. Then I need about 7 inches of this Balmy Blue. It's kind of a velvet ribbon. It's really soft and sparkly. I love. But I need the 5.5 to go across the front, and then I need a little bit to tuck inside. So that's why I'm doing 7 inches. And I tried to do glue dots, and they were not working extra well. So I had used tear and tape to put this on the other card. And then to feed it through my label, I just do that. And then I want the ribbon to stay in the middle. So what I'm going to do is put some tear and tape across there as well. Or I could even use seal, I guess. Okay, so I know it needs to go about there, that to go there. All right. Okay. And like I said, if you can get your glue dots to work, more power to you. I was so frustrated they weren't working, but this did. So I'm just going to go with what works for me, which is what I always suggest you do for you. Do what works. I just have to be careful when pulling off my cover that I don't take the whole thing with me. I just need the cover, not the actual tape. There we go. And then I'm going to set that down where my label is going to be right where I want it. And then I can tuck these in inside my little tube. And there we go. There is our finished card. So what do you think? Is this something you're going to give a try? Is the stamp set something you already own or something you may want to run on over to my store and go get? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you back here on my YouTube channel on Monday for another live where I will actually be live. Thanks.